Try something with me right now. For the next 10 seconds, do not, under any circumstances, think about a white bear. Notice what just happened. Your mind went straight to the bear. That isn't a flaw in you. It's a rule of how the brain works, and it's the exact reason just stop overthinking never works. Tonight I'm going to show you why ordering your thoughts to be quiet only makes them louder, and the gentle, research-backed routine that actually teaches your mind to let go. By the end of this video you'll have a 10-minute worry window, a one-line script to park a racing thought, a 2-minute version for when you're already in bed, and a 7-night plan to make it stick. The most powerful step is the very last one, and almost no one does it, so stay with me. Come on. Let's walk through this slowly, together. Before we go deeper, let me ask you something real. Down in the comments, tell me, what's the one thought that loops the loudest when your head hits the pillow? Naming it, even in a comment, is the first crack of light, and I read every single one. If this channel is new to you, subscribe and stay close. I make a calm session like this for your nervous system every week, and I'd hate for the next one to get lost in the noise. And please watch all the way to the end, because the last step, the 7-night plan, is what turns this from a nice idea into a habit your brain actually trusts. Most people quit a technique on night 2, right before it starts working. I don't want that to be you. So get comfortable, let your shoulders drop away from your ears, and let's understand what your mind is really doing when it just won't stop. Here's what's actually happening. Back in the late 1980s, a psychologist named Daniel Wegner ran a now famous experiment. He asked people to sit and not think about a white bear, and to ring a bell every time it popped up. They rang constantly. Then he had them deliberately think about the bear, and afterward, it came back even stronger. He called it the ironic process. To follow the command "don't think about it," part of your mind has to keep a quiet little monitor running, scanning for the very thought you're trying to avoid. And that monitor has to hold the thought in mind to check whether it's gone. So the harder you push a worry away, the more often a hidden part of your brain whispers it back to you, just to make sure it's still absent. You're not weak, and you're not broken. You're obeying the instruction perfectly. The instruction is the problem. So if fighting makes it louder, what's the alternative? Let's go one layer deeper, because this is the part that explains your 2M brain. Suppression runs on 2 systems. One is the effortful searcher, the conscious part that tries to fill your head with anything except the worry. The other is that automatic monitor, quietly scanning for the forbidden thought. Here's the cruel twist. The searcher needs energy and focus, but the monitor runs almost for free. So when you're tired, stressed, a little run down, or lying in the dark with no distractions, exactly when you most want quiet, the effortful searcher runs out of fuel first. The monitor keeps going, and with nothing left to push back, every thought it surfaces lands with full force. That's why the loop feels strongest the moment your head hits the pillow. It isn't bad luck, and it isn't you failing. It's the predictable result of fighting your mind when its guard is already down. But not every loop is the same, and that distinction changes everything. Before we fix the loop, you have to know which loop you're in, because they look identical from the inside, and they need opposite things. The first is problem solving. It moves. It asks a question you can actually answer, reaches something new, and ends in a decision or a next step. I'll email her in the morning, and then it lets you go. The second is rumination. It feels productive, but it circles. Listen for two words: why and what if. Why am I like this? Why did I say that? What if it all falls apart? Those questions have no floor, you can drop through them forever. So here's the simplest test. After 5 minutes, ask yourself, am I any closer to a decision or just deeper in the same feeling? If you've moved, keep going. If you're circling, that's rumination, and no amount of thinking tonight will solve it. So we're going to do something that sounds backwards. We're going to schedule it. Here's the shift that changes everything. You are not going to delete the thoughts. You're going to give them an appointment. Your mind loops a worry for a reason, somewhere underneath. It's afraid that if it lets go now, the thing will be forgotten and you'll be left unprotected. So it keeps pinging you, like an assistant who won't stop interrupting because they're not sure you actually heard them. The fix isn't to fire the assistant. It's to say, clearly and reliably, I've got it. We're handling this at 7 o'clock. When you set a specific, honored time to think your worries on purpose, you answer the fear underneath the loop. The thought no longer has to shout because it trusts it'll get its moment. Therapists have used this in cognitive behavioral work for decades. It's a form of stimulus control, often called a worry window. And the beautiful part is how exact and simple the setup is. Let me give you the protocol. Here's the worry window step by step. Pick one fixed time each day, ideally early evening, say 7 p.m. And never in bed, never in the last hour before sleep. Choose a spot that isn't where you sleep, a kitchen chair, a corner of the couch. Set a timer for 10 minutes. For those 10 minutes, your only job is to worry, on paper, by hand. Write down every loop, every what if, every nagging thread, in messy bullet points. You're not solving yet, you're emptying. Keep the pen moving even if you repeat yourself. When the timer ends, you stop, close the notebook, and stand up. The window is shut until tomorrow. 2 rules make it work. Same time every day, so your brain learns the rhythm, and by hand, not on a phone, because handwriting is slower than thought, and that slowness forces the swirl into single, finishable lines. 10 minutes. A real chair. A real pen. That's the container, but what do you do with the thoughts once they're down? Inside the window, here's how to handle what you wrote, and this is where problem solving finally gets its turn. Read back through your list and sort each line into one of 2 piles. Pile 1, things you can actually act on. For each, write the single next physical step, not the whole solution, just the next move. Worried about the bill becomes check the balance at lunch tomorrow. 1 concrete verb. Pile 2, things you cannot control, other people's feelings, the far-off future, what's already done. For those there's no action, so you do something different, you acknowledge it. Write one honest line, I'm scared this won't work, and I can sit with that. Naming a fear in plain words actually lowers its charge. You're labeling the emotion instead of drowning in it. Action items get a step. Uncontrollables get acknowledged. Either way, the loop is answered on paper, and your sleeping brain no longer has to stand guard over it. Now, the move that protects every hour outside the window. This is the part that protects the other 23 hours, the parquet script. A worry will absolutely show up at 11 p.m. That's normal. When it does, you don't fight it and you don't follow it. You say one quiet line, to yourself or under your breath, "Not now, I'll think about this at 7. That's it. You're not suppressing it, which we know backfires. You're deferring it to a time and place where it's genuinely welcome. If this is landing for you, take 1 second to subscribe. It's how the next session finds its way back to you. The first few nights, the thought will come back 5 minutes later. Calmly say the line again. And again. You're not failing, you're training. Each time you park it and the world doesn't end, your mind gathers a little proof that this thought can wait. That proof is everything, and it's exactly why this works when willpower doesn't. Let me show you why the brain actually believes the park it line. Why does a single sentence calm a racing mind? Because of how brains learn safety. Think of an anxious thought like a smoke alarm that's grown too sensitive. It shrieks at burnt toast. You can't argue an alarm into silence, but you can teach it, through repeated experience, that this particular smell isn't a fire. Every time you park a worry and then nothing bad happens, you don't forget the bill. The world keeps turning. Morning comes. Your brain quietly files away one piece of evidence. It was safe to let that wait. Do that for several nights and the alarm recalibrates. The thought still appears, but softer, less often, easier to set down. This is the same learning that underlies real exposure work. You don't suppress the fear. You stay near it calmly until your nervous system updates. A gentle touch helps too. Resting a hand against your own cheek or ear sends a simple safety signal to your body. You're not forcing calm. You're earning it. But there are 3 ways people accidentally break this. Here are the 3 mistakes that quietly sabotage the worry window. Avoid these and it works far better. First, doing it in bed or in the last hour before sleep. The whole point is to keep your bed a place for rest, not for problem solving, so worry in a different chair, in a different room, earlier in the evening. Second, turning the window into a doom spiral. 10 minutes of writing is emptying and sorting, not pouring gasoline on every fear. When the timer ends, you genuinely stop. The boundary itself is the medicine. If you feel yourself spinning faster, switch to listing next steps or simply close the book. Third, and most common, skipping nights because I don't feel that anxious today. This is a practice, like watering a plant. You do it on the calm days so the habit is strong on the hard ones. A worry window used only on bad nights never gets the chance to retrain anything. Keep those 3 in mind, and here's what to do when you're already in bed and it's too late for the window. Say it's already midnight, you're in bed and the loop is spinning, the full window has closed. Here's the 2-minute version you can do right where you lie. First, one long, slow exhale to signal your body it's safe to downshift. Breathe in gently through your nose, then let the out breath be longer than the in breath, slow and unhurried. A longer exhale nudges the calming branch of your nervous system, the part that lowers your heart rate. Do that 2 or 3 times. Then, instead of chasing the thoughts, narrate them in your head as a tiny list. I'm noticing a worry about work. I'm noticing a worry about tomorrow. Labeling each one, I'm noticing, slips a sliver of distance between you and the thought. Finally, the park it line. These are real, and they have a time. 7 o'clock. You're not solving anything at midnight. You're acknowledging, soothing, and deferring. The same 3 moves, shrunk down to fit your pillow. And if even that feels like too much, there's one reset that's purely physical. When your mind is too wired for words, drop out of your head and into your body with one breath your nervous system already knows, the physiological sigh. It's the breath you do naturally after crying, and you can borrow it on purpose. Here's the exact shape. Breathe in through your nose, and near the top, take a second short sip of air, stacking one more little breath on top of the first. Then a long, complete exhale through your mouth, letting your shoulders fall. That double inhale gently reopens tiny air sacs in your lungs, and the long exhale offloads carbon dioxide and tells your heart to slow. 1 or 2 of these can take the physical edge off a racing moment in seconds, not because it's magic, but because you're using your own physiology as an off-ramp. Do a sigh, then return to parking the thought. Body first, then mind. Now, the step almost everyone skips, the one that turns all of this from a single good night into a lasting change. Here it is, the last step, the one almost no one does, and the reason most techniques fade by the weekend. You're going to run this as a 7-night plan, because your brain learns safety through repetition, not through one good night. Nights 1 and 2, just build the window. Same chair, same time, 10 minutes, by hand. Don't even judge whether it's working. Nights 3 and 4, add the park it line out in the day. Expect the thought to bounce back often, and calmly defer it each time. Nights 5 and 6, you'll start to notice the gap. The worry still comes, but it's quieter, and parking it finally feels believable. Night 7, keep the window, but trust it. By now you've given your mind a full week of evidence that letting go at night doesn't mean dropping the ball. That's what willpower could never buy you, proof. 7 nights. A pen, a chair, one honest sentence. Mark tonight as night 1. Let's bring it all together. Let's gather what we've planted. Telling your mind to stop only hands it a white bear. Suppression keeps a hidden monitor whispering the thought right back. So instead of fighting, you schedule a 10-minute worry window each evening, in a chair that isn't your bed, written by hand. A park it line, not now, I'll think about this at 7, for every other hour. A 2-minute version and a physiological sigh for when you're already in bed. And a 7-night plan to teach your nervous system that letting go is safe. Be patient and gentle with yourself. You're retraining a lifelong habit, and that takes more than one night. I make a new calm session like this every week, so subscribe and the next one will find you. Next time, I'll show you the one small thing to do in the first 5 minutes after you wake that quietly steadies your whole day. Tell me in the comments, what's the worry that loops loudest when you lie down? I'll be reading. Breathe easy, rest well, and bloom. This has been Mind in Bloom.
A new calm ritual every night. Follow Mind in Bloom.